Alright guys, I just got ate by a puffer fish. So I'm gonna take this piece off. I'm gonna do a quick tutorial on how to properly rig one of these jerk shads. So a lot of people, the reason, and it's one of the reasons I stopped using Z-Man for a little bit, is they can never, it's hard to get these guys to stay on a jig head, on a traditional jig head, you know. Then, you know, Z-Man and I Strike, they got together and they came up with these jig heads right here, which they're the best jig heads used. You can use other jig heads. I've put these on. I used to use Mission Fishing jig heads before I knew of Trout Eye or the I Strike brand. I used to use the Mission Fishing brand. So I mean, you can get them to stay on other ones, but there's a little trick to get it to stay a little bit better. All right, so what I do is make 2 or 3 little pilot holes right here. All right, and once you make those pilot holes, you want to measure and see about where the jig head is gonna sit, where it's gonna come out of. And what I'll do is I'll make a little tiny mark. I'll take the hook and I'll just, you know, little mark so I know. And then what I'll do is you just run it up and you come to where that mark is that you made, and you come out. So once you come out and you go to push it on, it won't just stick on. See, it'll keep pushing up. So what I do is I'll go and I'll hold pressure for a while, and I'll do it a couple times. You know, I'll just keep, you know, you gotta almost force it on there, and then you just hold pressure on there a little bit every time. Just hold it for a second and then let go. Eventually it'll make its way onto the jig head and it'll stay, and it's not gonna come off. But making those little pilot holes, they help out a lot. They make it to where it makes it easier for those keepers on the jig head to hold the bait in place. And a lot of times I'll even pinch down and pull back a little bit. That way you know it's on there, and you just push it up on there. If you hold that pressure of the bait onto those keepers a couple times, it takes a little bit longer, but once you figure it out and you learn how to actually do it, it only takes you, I mean, seconds to do it. You know, I used to have a hard time getting these guys to stay on a traditional jig head. Then when the Texas Eye came out, I mean, that was game changer, because you didn't have to make sure it stayed on these keepers. It had that little, like, that small keeper up front, and I mean, it would hold the bait awesome. But I mean, a lot of people, they end up not wanting to use the Z-Man, and that's with the paddle tails. Same way, same exact thing. Paddle tails, jerk shads, paddlers, even the crabs, the shrimps, all of them. If you make those pilot holes, it will stay on. And as long as you know, just you gotta put it on. Yeah, it takes a little bit of tending to, but once this bait's on there, the only thing taking it off is a puffer fish. I mean, I've caught in multiple fish on these and never had to change it off. I just, if I want to change my bait, the size or anything, I cut it, put this in my tackle box for later, and I tie on a new jig head, just because this guy will last a very long time. But that's just a quick, you know, little tutorial on how I get these baits to stay on the jig head, just because as someone that used to have such a hard time getting them to stay on, I mean, once I figured that out, I've never had a problem since, and now that's why these Z-Mans are the only baits that I do throw.